Hi guys. How are you feeling right now? This is quite the moment for you.
This is, I'm very, very, I feel like the word excited is quite overused in my vocabulary. I feel like breathless a lot lately. I feel very, very breathless, very excited, of course, and oh my god, is that a dog? That's so cute. What's its name?
She's forgotten about the Emmys already.
Wait, what's its name?
Snow White 90210.
Snow White 90210, everybody. And Snow White 90210 is up for the supporting Emmy against Patricia. Sorry, she was one of the stuffed animals in the show.
Even seeing your pictures, you were like, whoa, this is so cool. And you're one of the youngest Emmy nominees that we have.
It's insane. I mean, a lot of my friends and family keep on sending me pictures that are the billboards that are throughout Los Angeles, and it's insane. I can't even comprehend it. As I was walking into the space here, my mom and my sister were with me, and we saw the reception area that said like Paramount Pictures, and then the act right underneath it. My mom started crying. Like it's, I know, right? It's such a little cute moment. Like it's all so. It's so surreal. I could not believe it when my name got called by Ken Jeong during the nomination announcement.
Well, we saw your reaction, which you posted on Instagram. You were shooting the sequel to The Kissing Booth in South Africa?
Yes.
So, what was the celebration like that night?
Work. I was working pretty much all night long, but I went home. My hotel home, and I had a bunch of phone calls with my family, my friends. I went to sleep, but my hotel, they gave me a chocolate cake. They were like, congratulations on your nomination, and they like left this huge chocolate cake in my room, and I didn't invite any of my cast members. And it took me 3 days to eat the whole thing. And I took pictures every time, and the little pieces of it would keep disappearing. And I don't need help with that. My chocolate cake from Miami nomination.
So when this role is presented to you, what are your hesitations about a role like this? Like, what were you sort of fearful of? What scared you about it? What did you talk to your mom about? Because when I'm scared about something, I talk to my mom. I assume that's the same for you, but what were those conversations like?
I think what scared me most about playing Gypsy was that right there, Gypsy. She's a real person, you know, and doing someone's story justice and being respectful to someone's story who actually went through what I'm portraying. I mean, so many times I would be on set, Patricia and I would be having a great time together, and then we would often stop and say, we need to take a second. This scene that we're shooting, this really happened, and that's so horrible, and that's so devastating, and it would just snap us back into reality of how severe and serious the show we were making was. The idea of portraying someone's life story that was so devastating, and then also the fear of failing doing so, was a big fear of mine, and that's why I was so excited to work so hard on something like this, to be able to do something like shave my head, and not even that, to be able to portray someone over the course of 7 years who, throughout the 7 years that I played her, changed so much as a human being. When we first meet Gypsy in episode 1, she's a completely different person than we meet in episode 4 and 5, and then again in episode 8. She changes so much, and she goes through so much, so many realizations, so many changes, so many things about her just completely shift. And so navigating that and being able to put a lot of effort into making sure those changes were noticeable was so refreshing and fulfilling for me.
How much did you think about who she was before things got to the place it did? I mean, we see some of her in flashback, but how much did you think about that version of Gypsy, and how much did you think about the what if or the what could have been had none of this happened to her?
I mean, based on the way Gypsy is now and the way she is so well spoken when she speaks in interviews, I mean, I think all of us probably wonder what could have been for this young girl who is now stuck in prison, living a life that she was never meant to live. I mean, she's such a bright young girl who would, I think in any other situation, be such a wonderful benefit to the world. And so, you know, it's a lot to take into consideration when you're playing something like that, when you're playing someone like that. And when you are, you know, when I do episode 1, of course, a lot of episode 1, episode 2, even episode 3 is based off of a lot of videos that we see of Gypsy online with her mother. And episode 4 through 8, it's more of an interpretation of what we believe Gypsy is behind closed doors. Because there is a lot of footage of Gypsy out there, but most of that footage has been taken by her mother.
Right.
And so the person that she is in front of Dee Dee is so much different than the person that she is behind closed doors, at least what I believe. And she's kind of living this double life, especially when she just starts to realize her sexuality and kind of find her womanhood and start to talk to Nick and, you know, find that, you know, fire within her that makes her want to do these things and sneak behind her mother's back. She's such a different human being, but we don't get to see that in the footage that is actually out there of Gypsy. So making sure I stayed respectful to the story and the footage that was out there, but also create a narrative that was not out there and try and interpret what Gypsy must be feeling when she was going in secret behind Dee Dee's back.
Well, in studying the videos, I think there's the assumption that you're just focusing on the voice or her physicality, but talk a little bit about like the parts like that you were focusing on, that like the silences in the middle, or what you were seeing going on behind her eyes. Like, what were you paying attention to?
A lot of it was, I feel, and I'm so thankful that Patricia was Dee Dee. She's just the best. I mean, one of the kindest human beings I've ever met, and also just the most talented actress. I'm so lucky. But being able to act with her and kind of feel, the minute we said rolling, I was like, okay, I am Gypsy now, and this is how she is, and this is what she would be thinking. And so whatever Patricia would do as Dee Dee, whatever I would do as Gypsy, it was just very in the moment. And I believe in preparation, of course, and I believe in prep and all that stuff, but I feel like so much work comes from spontaneity, and being spontaneous in the moment, and being able to make decisions as your character in the moment. The prep work is getting to know your character, doing the research, but I feel like the real fun of it for me in acting is making offhand decisions in the moment that make the character what it is. And so, you know, paying attention to these moments, these nuances, like you're saying, these in-between moments, they all just were things that felt right to me. And that felt like a young girl who felt so suffocated, but at the same time, I never wanted it to feel like Gypsy genuinely hated her mother, because if you hear any interviews from her now, or if you see any footage of her now, I really don't believe Gypsy hates her mom. I believe she loved her so much, and the thought of Gypsy becoming a woman scared Dee Dee, and Gypsy knew that, so she thought better to just get rid of her than to have Dee Dee have to see that.
I know this is gonna sound like I'm trying to be funny, but I'm not. You have a very striking moment in a scene with whipped cream, where it's like you sort of know it's all a lie, but at the same time, she's brainwashed, right, into believing there's a reason to all this. And yet she hears, we see the playback of the doctor saying she's not allergic to sugar. And she's testing it out for the first time. What were you sort of thinking in your mind, or how did you wrap your mind around what she was feeling in that moment?
I feel that moment when Gypsy hears the doctor say, your daughter's not allergic to sugar, is a mixture of complete betrayal, sadness, but most of all, confliction and confusion. Because, especially in that moment, we are so early on in Gypsy's arc that she doesn't feel like she can do anything about it. All she can do is sneak around in the night and walk in the middle of the night and eat whipped cream, and that's her rebellion. There is no thought of murder. There is no thought of secret boyfriends and, you know, all these things that we eventually get to. And so I think it's confusion, feeling trapped, and when I was playing that moment, people ask me how I get emotional and how I get into a character, but the best answer I can give them is to really just put yourself in that person's shoes. When people ask me, how do I cry on command? How do I do this? Try and put yourself in that character situation, mentally. Try and put yourself there, no matter what your character is. Even if you think your character's crying over something minuscule, try and put yourself in that place and see what that would feel like. And the character and the person, Gypsy, going through something like this, the person she trusts and that she loves most, she finds out, at least she thinks she does, that she's been lied to. It's such a confusing moment because she loves her so much, but that's really when the start of I need to get out of this, but I don't know how starts.
You said that this has been the most challenging role of your career. What did you learn about your capabilities once you reached the end of this show?
Oh, I realized it's okay to be proud of yourself because that's something that I was never comfortable doing. And I think I realized I was proud of myself because I put so much work into this and because clearly paid off. Playing Gypsy, it really opened my eyes to so much. I mean, to know what someone went through and that I was playing someone's real story and it was so devastating. It taught me a lot about respect for your character and the person you are playing, especially if it's a real person. And the people around me, really, the crew and the directors and producers, I felt so loved by everybody and supported, and it taught me how special, rare, and